Yeah, those headlights.
And because, oh, no, it's not, you know, because of, I heard there's some weather issues tonight, we will, you never know, but at least the agenda tonight seems relatively benign. See, I call it the calm before the storm. I get the feeling in March there'll be a lot of stuff crossing our desk.
Depends on how things are.
What was that, Jeff?
Who?
Huh?
What?
Mike?
Dr. Reed?
Yeah. Well, selfishly, we know we're not 1 minute from Sarah.
With a rain like this.
Being a relatively still new supervisor at the training, I'd like.
If it's rain like that, then everybody's on
Okay. Let's bring this board meeting to order. Pledge of allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Robert, can you please have a roll call?
Councilman Cato?
Present.
Councilman Colby?
Present.
Councilman Joseph?
Present.
Supervisor Cleary?
Present.
Councilman
I'll be the apple here.
Okay, and we have, oh, this is part of my education still, Barbara. So the meeting on January 9th, which was a workshop meetings, or minutes, and our regular board meeting on January 16th, we have the minutes to be considered for approval tonight. I make a motion to approve
1 minute.
one of those at a time. So let's start, I'm still in my education process, right?
Do you know why?
Barbara, would you like to educate us on why?
If you want to know.
I really,
Because
yes.
somebody may not have been in one of these and they want to assume
Good point. Good
it's
point.
my only reason.
Yes, or somebody might have, they want to approve one of them at a time. That is the 1,637th thing Barbara has taught me in the first 35 minutes on the job, but I'm not counting. I make a motion to approve the January 9th, 2020 minutes.
Second.
Supervisor Cleary?
Aye.
Councilman Abbott?
Aye.
Councilman Cato?
Aye.
Councilman
Aye. I would move that we approve the minutes of January 16, 2020, submitted by the town clerk.
Second.
Councilwoman Shelby?
Aye.
Supervisor Cleary?
Aye.
Councilman Abbott?
I need to make an amendment to those minutes. To Resolution 71. I'd like to amend it to include the actual cost for us to pay back Ontario County. I believe that should have been included in the minutes. And that cost is $25,405. That's for the training of those officers that are now employed by the town.
I would move that we approve the minutes of January 16, 2020, with the amendments proposed by Councilman Abbott.
Second.
Councilwoman Shelby?
Aye.
Councilman Cato?
Aye.
Councilman Abbott?
Aye.
Supervisor Cleary?
Aye.
Any Councilman Abbott?
Phil, I'm sorry that you had to come up with that. The accountant on the board should have been the one to say the specific number, right? Well, I'll come up with something on the engineering side later on, you know. At this point, we will open the floor for any people in the crowd that would like to speak. Oh, it's robust. Well, ladies before gentlemen, right? So, and I can't stress enough, we will keep it to 5 minutes. So, are all individually all of you speaking? Individually all of you are speaking. Let me ask you this. Are you individually speaking about a different topic?
No,
You're talking about the same topic?
pretty much.
Okay. You all can get up, it's 5 minutes on the topic. Yes, and Jeff, are you take, no, who takes the, you need, your name and address?
My name is Rebecca Collins, and my address is 608 Old Woods Road. Is this on, or can you hear me?
Get you a little closer.
Yeah, you get, yeah. I heard 608 Old Woods, but I did not hear your name. I'm sorry. Rebecca Collins. Thank you. So should I start?
You most certainly can.
So you already know my name, it's Rebecca Collins, or Becky Collins. My husband and I moved to Webster a little over 3 years ago in the fall of 2016 from the San Francisco Bay Area, and we love Webster. We are impressed with all the trails, the parks, the nature preserves, and we love the big lake. It's obvious that protecting and enjoying the environment is a town priority, and we very much appreciate that. I know that rising Lake Ontario levels and flooding are also a priority, as this adversely impacts homes and businesses here in Webster and the surrounding area. We can expect flooding events like this to continue if global temperatures continue to rise. We know from science class that warmer surface temperatures increase the evaporation rate of water. This forms more clouds and more precipitation. Rainfall in the Great Lakes Basin has increased 10% since 1900. Because Lake Ontario is at the very lowest elevation of the Great Lake chain, we can expect more record lake levels as all of this water flows down to us. And yes, I have read the IJC 2014 plan, and I am well aware that many people blame this for the recent flooding in 2017 and 2019. And I agree that it played a role. But when we look at the data, the increased precipitation due to warming temperatures is the main culprit. Warming global temperatures correlate with rising carbon dioxide levels in the atmosphere. Carbon dioxide levels have risen over 45% since people started burning fossil fuels to meet their energy needs. Carbon dioxide is a greenhouse gas. It absorbs thermal energy. And with the increased amount of carbon dioxide in the atmosphere, more heat is getting trapped and raising Earth's surface temperatures. The solution is to lower carbon emissions, and we need systems-level policy change in order to do this at the scale and speed necessary to stop climate change. Since moving to the area, I joined an amazing group of people, the Rochester Chapter of Citizens Climate Lobby, or CCL. CCL is an international grassroots environmental group that advocates for effective climate legislation. We are laser focused on passing a bill called the Energy Innovation and Carbon Dividend Act, or House Resolution 763. The bill has been co-sponsored by 77 representatives and is currently in committee. In a nutshell, the legislation puts an increasing fee on carbon at the source, coal, oil, and natural gas, and returns the fee as a dividend to all Americans with a Social Security number. It's the best solution out there. It lowers carbon emissions, it puts money back into people's pockets to spur the economy, it has a border adjustment to protect American business, and it includes regulatory limits. In the 5 minutes that I am allowed to speak to you, I cannot begin to do justice to this well thought out and thorough legislation, which is supported by economists, scientists, and past and present politicians from both sides of the political aisle. I am asking for the opportunity to do a more in-depth presentation at an upcoming board meeting in order to go over the details and to encourage you to join neighboring municipalities in endorsing the act. Why endorse? As a matter of fact, our 25th congressional representative, Joe Morelli, already co-sponsored the bill this past summer. Well, change happens when people come together to form a movement. And to date, 8 of our neighboring municipalities have endorsed this act. When every municipality in the district endorses the act, the movement grows bigger and stronger. Representative Morelli will see that climate change is an important issue to his constituents. This builds political will for him to work with his colleagues in the House to push to get the bill through committee and onto the Senate floor. So again, I'm asking for the opportunity to give a more detailed presentation at an upcoming board meeting to encourage you to endorse the Energy Innovation and Carbon Dividend Act. More specifically, I'm advocating for having some of Webster's younger citizens present the bill to you. I'm a strong proponent of giving students a voice and encouraging them as they become environmental stewards. Young people all over the world are concerned about climate change, and there are many concerned and very articulate youth here in Webster ready to take action. After all, it is their future. Thank you for listening, and I look forward to working with you on this important issue.
This means with any luck, I'll still be alive in the year 2100. By 2100, if we continue to emit the amount of carbon we are now, sea level is predicted to rise 6 feet, drawing major cities such as San Francisco and New York. Not only will this cause catastrophic damage to buildings and homes, but also to economies. Rising temperatures and ocean levels can cause farms to severely decrease in yield, raising prices of goods that are needed for survival. This is not a world I want to live in. I want to have the luxury of not worrying about whether I will be able to afford groceries. I want to be able to visit major cities like New York and not worry about them being flooded. I want to be able to have kids without feeling guilty for bringing children into a world where the environment is dying. Some think that people like me, kids who are just trying to make some change, should not be influencing the decisions of government, that this is a serious business that should be left to the adults. I'm here to convince those people that they're wrong. This is my future that's at stake. If you think I'm going to leave my future in the hands of some lawmakers that won't be there to see the worst effects of climate change, you're wrong. I'm here speaking on behalf of my generation and future generations to come. Care about climate change. If not for yourself, care for the people you'll leave behind when you're gone. People that are my age need to have the opportunity to speak out and protect their own future. Thank you.
Thank you. We're
That
at
was
6 minutes now.
Thank you.
But-
You're wonderful.
and what is your name?
Celia Darling.
Celia, thank you. And
Thank
I'm
you.
sure you,
They got
and I will tell you this, okay? First of all, actually, does any of the board have anything, comments or questions or anything?
We've actually heard.
We've heard this last year from this group
And the year before.
and the year before. We understand the concerns with climate change, but until the town board municipality can have any effect on it, it has to be acted upon by Congress. We can't even begin to put a ripple in what Congress wants to do,
Oh, yes, you
other than
can.
talking to your own congressman.
We're not asking you to enforce anything.
Well-
We're asking for an endorsement.
You're asking for an
No
endorsement that I'm not willing to
political
give based on what I've read and what I've seen about this article.
And- and-
will, Which is why
I read the
I'm
bill several
asking
times.
for the opportunity to come speak to you in greater
And-
detail. And Supervisor Flaherty was not in on those meetings, so I think it's only
Well,
fair.
well,
that
I
he
will
gets
say
that
this,
opportunity.
okay, and I mean, well, I said it was gonna be a benign meeting, but I guess Murphy's Law, an Irish thing. I'll tell you what, I'm gonna take a different tack on this, okay? And I appreciate, Bill and John, what you're saying, that you were here before and all that, and I was not aware of that. But I will tell you this, and I think it's important for the Webster citizens to know this, is that we are going to be looking at green energy initiatives in Webster. You know, politics are local. I appreciate the global aspect, well, not global, but federal aspect of this bill and all that. I'll be the first to admit I have not read it. I have family and friends in the energy business. You're from San Francisco. One of my good friends is in Marin County, owns an energy company, sells the tax credits for all the green energy initiatives. So I have a lot of resources on how we can implement in Webster green energy initiatives. That is in my bailiwick and in this board's bailiwick, and we are going to be looking at that, okay? It isn't lost on me that our neighboring town, Penfield, within the last year, rolled out their green energy initiative, and I have talked to Supervisor Fountain on how they did it and how they went about it. So I'm interested in that. I don't speak for other board members, I don't speak for other people. There are aspects of that in our 35 square mile area that is Webster that we will look at, and we will look at hard. We have some good opportunities here. We could potentially have some good opportunities that are good for business when it comes to the business of green energy. But I know my limitations. I don't have visions of grandeur of, and it's one of the reasons I ran for this office. Act locally. I'm gonna act locally. And we may, and we'll see how this goes. I still want to talk to some of the other supervisors and how they endorse this bill, get more educated on it, and we'll see about that, okay? But I'm more interested in what we can do for Webster with our green energy initiatives. I applaud you that you're getting, especially the young people that are getting involved. I really do, okay? But I want to make sure you understand. I don't want anybody walking away from this meeting thinking that, well, the Webster Town Board has no interest in any green energy initiatives. That could be farther from the truth. So,
Can I just say one little last thing? I just would like you to consider my thought method of the whole movement process. So obviously, I'm a very green person. I've lived in California for 30 years. I have solar panels on my house, and I drive an electric vehicle. But I can't make a difference all by myself. And doing this stuff for Webster is amazing, and I am proud to say that Webster is going to look into green energy sources. But even changing Webster isn't going to make a difference on a global scale. We need
You know what,
system-wide
we may
policy.
agree to disagree on that, and
Okay.
we're gonna move on, because, like I said,
I'm just
I
asking you to
don't,
think about
I'm
that.
gonna try to help in the process of moving the needle, and the moving the needle is on the 35 square miles in
Okay.
Webster and the
That's fair.
45,000 people. And you know what, Rebecca, within that process, as we move forward, I may be reaching out to you to help in that process. Now, if you're immersed in the federal, I get it, there's only so many hours in the day and whatever. I
not.
will find other people at that point that are, want to get involved in the local thing, because really that is it. Now, if someday I'm senator, which will never happen, by the way, then I might be turning my attention more toward the federal things. But for now, I will tell you this, beyond a shadow of a doubt, we will be moving forward and vetting and looking at things for how we in Webster as a community can get more green energy initiatives going. Because the reality is it's the way of the future. And you're either gonna get with the future or you're gonna get run over by it. And I don't endorse getting run over by it. But like I said, we could agree to disagree on the means by which we go about doing that.
Okay,
God bless you, you're going federal. I'm gonna go local.
okay, I appreciate it.
All right?
All right.
Thank you very much.
Thanks for letting us
All
know.
right.
Thank
Are
you.
you- Excuse me, are you aware that the town instituted an electric charging station at Parks and Rec this year? This
Yes,
past
I
year?
am.
Have you utilized it?
No, I use my house,
Okay,
because we have
just,
a little
we
test.
have
generator.
initiated that,
Yes,
something functions.
thank you.
More to come. Well, I don't know about more of those to come, I guess. Depends on the paint. Is it in this year's budget? Oh, well then more to come. I said ladies before gentlemen, is there any ladies behind the beam that has been my bane of my existence that want to say anything? Or the gentleman is up. Oh, are you Jim Coons?
No,
I'm Frederick or Rick Coons.
Oh. Okay. Rick from,
From 734 Gravel Road, Webster.
okay, not Coons Christmas
yes,
tree.
It's related.
I'll admit that.
Well, no, I met with John Anton Tomaso today, and we were talking about the Christmas tree farm.
Oh, my brother does that.
There, well, jump on up.
Should I go over here?
You sure can. And he already did, you just gave his name and address, right? So, you all good on that one? Barbara, I keep looking.
I didn't hear it.
Good evening. The reason for my being here is because I feel it's my civic duty to do what I'm going to ask tonight. Again, I said it's not tonight, but I want to talk about sidewalks. For all new developments only. It is my understanding that the developer for new developments would have to pay to install the sidewalks in the development. And the town pays to maintain if the sidewalks that they put in need some repair. However, if the town does not plow the sidewalk, it could be used without plowing the sidewalk from, say, March to October. And if they did that, what we're saying then basically is that there would be no cost basically to the town at all. Because all they're doing is having a chip fixing it. The following have sidewalks already. Brighton, they might even have them on both sides of the street in Brighton. Penfield has sidewalks. The city of Rochester has sidewalks. Arundecoit has sidewalks. In Arundecoit, there are some 300 miles of sidewalks. But only part of that is maintained. So I guess what I'm saying there is that if you don't want to put in the sidewalks, obviously you're not going to put in sidewalks with the development is already there. So what we could maybe do is do it in the new developments, as I said before. So the reason for sidewalks would be for adults running and walking, as well as taking care of their dogs. The other day on gravel, I saw a person walking down gravel road with 4 dogs. I don't know how they keep them together so they don't get hurt. Kids don't always think when they get a basketball that goes down the road, and what they'll do, they'll run after it. Because they don't think about the cars coming by or whatever. And the development across the street from me, Hills Pond Road, it goes like this. A big bend, a big S. So basically, I saw the other day a woman right in the middle of the road with a baby carriage. And then, luckily, she got out of the way. I saw a boy get off the bus. They left him in the middle of the street. I was running by. I said, young man, you're on the wrong side of the street. And good-natured as he was, he went across the street on the right side. So if I was presenting this to the planning board, I could just hear Tony Kashani saying to me, to everybody, kids should play in the backyard. They have no business in the front yard. But guess what? Where the basketball hoops are, they're in the front yard. And everybody in my division, I think, has got one. And in the basketball court, the court is in the front yard. Unfortunately, when the developers build the buildings, the houses, it's all on a slant. For drainage, of course, I mean, it's well in their interest to do that, but kids don't act like adults, and we can't treat them that way. And for no expense, we can join the rest of the county or the towns around us. It's only the right thing to do.
Mr. Coons?
Have I 5 minutes, Rob?
Well, yes, but interestingly enough, I mean, I certainly would welcome questions or feedback from the board, but I just, I wonder,
You know what, Supervisor?
Since you're...
Supervisor, sorry to interrupt you. My wife says I need hearing aids.
Oh!
So,
Your wife and my wife know each other, don't they? I certainly would welcome questions and feedback from the board, but because we do have Joe Herbst, who is the Highway Department Superintendent here, Joe, any insights on this? Because I think I know what to say about this, but I haven't reached that level of confidence that I totally understand everything.
actually, excuse me. Okay. Actually, Supervisor, I was just here, as I said at the beginning, for my civic duty. I'm not here to challenge the things I said or to get, necessarily your, but if you want, that's fine. But I mean, I was just saying,
Sure.
it's
No,
time, it's time.
I thought that you gave a great talk, by the way. And
On what?
you gave a great talk. It was
you.
impassioned, it was articulate, It was fantastic, and Patty, you were going to say or ask something?
I just was curious as to the cost per square foot of repairing a sidewalk. What's concrete going for these days, Joe?
It's a buck and a quarter square yard, but it's not something that we've
That's just the
dove
concrete
into
cost.
before. That's just concrete, that's not labor or
Right.
anything else.
Here's what I'm not positive of, so I'm gonna ask for my fellow board members who are much more veteran at this than me to jump in if I've made an error. And I'd be interested to know how the other towns handle it. I think I know how Arundel handled it. Any subdivision, any place in Webster that wants a sidewalk can get a sidewalk, but they're gonna have a sidewalk district. So ultimately, when you look at your tax bill, you would see another line item for the cost of installing that sidewalk, the cost of maintaining it. Can you not hear me, or are you?
No, I hear you,
Oh, okay.
Supervisor, but there is no cost. The developer is gonna pay for the sidewalks.
I'm sorry, let me rephrase. Hills Pond, already built, right?
No sidewalks.
So let's say the people on Hills Pond in that neighborhood wanted sidewalks. If they gather together, and since I haven't had Bill or any other board members stop me, I think I'm accurate. They could gather together and say, we want sidewalks. And we would say, okay, well, this is, we get the engineering and whatever, this is what it's gonna cost to install them. And we would have, that would be spread out on the existing subdivision. Is that correct? Okay. Now, a new subdivision, well, I don't know really what to say about that, because I still think even if you got if the developer builds them, it will translate into the cost of each house. The then subsequent maintaining of them, even if there's nothing that's got to be done, as you said, Mr. Coons, between March and October because the weather is nice, but the reality is, actually, that's when the most maintenance would be done. Not plowing, but let's face it, I don't know about you, but my sidewalks at my house and my asphalt, no matter how good I got to take care of it, we live in Rochester, New York, Webster, New York, they crack, water gets in, expands when it freezes, and the maintenance is repairing the sidewalks. Is that correct, Joe? Probably less cost to repair them to actually than if you, well, I don't know, we don't have sidewalk plows that I know of in the town, do we? The village does. So that still would be not only, it would translate, I think, to a higher cost per house, which, hey, if the market will bear it, that's great, and it would be a wonderful feature to the neighborhood. I don't think anybody would deny that for all the things that you said, but I just want people to understand that when the town ultimately would not be paying for that maintenance, plowing, and repairing. That would be the sidewalk district of that new development. Does that make sense, Mr. Coons?
No.
Okay.
Again, Supervisor.
I like his honesty.
Supervisor, it's for new, we can't go back to old developments. We can't go back to Hills Pond Road and say, look, we're gonna put in sidewalks for you. No, I just want it so that we can do it. So it's in new developments only.
Mr. Coons,
Yes.
we can do it. The new development, but I want to make sure you hear me, because I got your ears too. My wife says I can't hear anything anymore. Then my kids say I yell a lot. I'm not, I just can't hear, so I talk loud. We can do that. We can say to the developer, you're going to put sidewalks in here. And that $200,000 house, my guess, will now be $215,000. I don't know. I can't get, well, we don't know. So let's say we get that done. Will they need to be maintained? Will they need to be plowed?
Now, we don't have to plow, just like a Runaway, only
Okay.
a little bit.
When they get repaired, which will happen, maybe not in year one, but they will get repaired. All I'm saying is that the subdivision would be a sidewalk district of the town, and the costs that are incurred on that repair will not be paid for by the town, but by the neighborhood's citizens. Do you follow me on that?
Yes. I can't believe if a sidewalk is done properly with cement, that it wouldn't last 20 or 30 years before repairs would have to be made. And then it would be just a few of them. My daughter lives in Brighton, and so I'm aware of what sidewalks are and how long they last. And I think that would be something that the board could look into if you.
Well, the board, like I said, the board can look into it. If you're looking for the board to make a resolution or an ordinance or a law that any new residential developments will by law or ordinance or resolution have sidewalks, I would be hard pressed to say that we would move forward on that without a lot of discussion and a lot of open forums and all that. Well, what might be interesting to know, Mr. Coons, is that the next subdivision that goes in, and the developer's working with us, Joe, I don't know how easy it would be to say, hey, what would the cost increase be in a typical house that's got 100 foot of frontage or 60 foot of frontage for you to put sidewalks in?
It's roughly $50 a foot, a square foot, cost of itself.
$50 a square foot. So
Between 35 and 50, putting in
a
utilities,
60
grade,
foot would be $3,000, and it's not 1 foot wide sidewalks.
4 foot. We figured this out once
Which means
before.
is
It
that
ended up-
$25,000?
it ended up being $2,500 per household to add them into an existing subdivision.
How much?
$2,500 per household to add them into.
That's less than I would have
existing.
thought. But the developer's gonna pass that on to the consumer.
And they do.
Yeah. Mr. Coates, I'm not, and I can't speak for the rest of the board members, your idea is not without merit, but it's also not something I think that would go to a resolution or ordinance or law or whatever by the board. There'd be quite a process of discernment on that.
That's not why I'm here. I'm just here to give you some information about what I know. I don't even know if it's all correct. I'm just trying to say that if all the towns around us have had sidewalks, why can't we? Can I leave my notes with Mr. Benway?
Sure.
Okay.
Absolutely. Sorry, I'm not
Thanks.
talking about that.
Thank you, sir.
And Mr. Combs, if you and I ever got together for coffee at like Golden Boys, they'd kick us out because we'd be yelling at each other. We can't hear.
Yes, probably true.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Can I chase everybody out of here?
Yeah, you thought you were yelling.
You know, he got me on that one, right? I mean, Cahill won 30-0 so far. Is there anybody else that would like to speak tonight? Okay. Well, then we will move on. Now, I'm not, who did review the bills?
I reviewed the bills.
Christine.
So I reviewed the bills yesterday and found all to be in order. I would move that we approve them and pay them.
Oh, sorry.
Councilman Colby,
Aye.
Councilman Cahill,
Aye.
Councilman Abbott,
Aye.
President Berry.
Aye. And I would also make a motion on paying the tax warrants.
The prepaid.
The prepaid tax, yes.
Second.
President Berry,
Aye.
Councilman Abbott,
Aye.
Councilman Cahill,
Aye.
Councilman Colby.
Aye.
Charlie, I would imagine we don't read off the next resolution.
You're talking, Mr. Supervisor, about the Yankee Stadium built on Industrial Park?
Yes.
I think we're gonna ask that we table it, because I've discussed this with the highway superintendent. attended, I think, in order for us to have a complete record, and the minutes, we need to have the exact minutes and bounds. And Joe said he can provide that by the next meeting. If it's okay with you and the board, I would ask the team.
I think that's great. I don't know if any board members have any questions or anything.
It makes perfect sense.
Yes,
I move that we table until next meeting.
second,
Councilman Cahill?
Aye.
Councilman McNulty?
aye.
Councilman Abbott?
Aye.
Supervisor Thurman?
Aye. Now, on the next resolution that involves the current phase 1 of the sewer plant, there was some back and forth today on this. Joe, I'm sorry, not Joe, Art, I'm glad you just handed the microphone to Art. Art, can you educate us on what we're looking at here, per se?
I can. So I'm asking for a resolution to authorize a secret amendment for a proposed pole barn on our phase 1 of our treatment plant project. This is only a amendment. The first seeker was put out for the original meets and bounds of the project. At that point, once we got into the project, we realized we lost a tremendous amount of storage, indoor storage. So this is just an amendment to that. It won't affect the original seeker.
This is going to amend the prior seeker by adding this.
That is correct.
And it's going to remain a type 1.
It'll remain a
And
type
the
1.
interested and involved parties will be notified of this amendment.
Absolutely. It's we're like asking for a 10-day review.
All right.
Charlie?
Jeff?
We're looking at the professionals here, and
Make sure everything's okay.
yeah, yeah, and that, it just, you know, that's a cross T, dot I type of thing. Thanks for clarifying that.
It's a brand new pole barn?
It will be a brand new pole barn.
What's the cost of the budget?
It will be just under $500,000.
Pole barn?
Yes.
Okay,
Was
You
that
know-
cost included in the project?
Bill?
Actually, it's less than the cost included in the project. The original project was an addition to the existing structure. I looked at it and said that we can get more square footage, same square footage for less money. The new pole barn, the existing building is, I don't even know how old. We have numerous pieces of equipment outside. We lost a pole barn. We lost 2 other facilities to park equipment in. The new facility will be insulated, will have heat, and it's going to build us for the future. It's a 4-bay. I foresee us filling 3 bays immediately, in 1 bay for the future. And it's also going to have an overhang, so we can store materials underneath it that are now currently outside deteriorating, getting lost in the weeds, things like that.
Whose square feet is it?
It'll be 4,900.
Yeah, I gotta tell you, it's funny, Councilman Abbott, your reaction to that $500,000 price tag. In a meeting on Thursday with Art and the Department of Justice, the engineers on this, Paul Adams and I, when Art said it was $500,000, we both went, what? That just seemed, and then it's been a consistent reaction by people that just seemed high. The good news is Art has done, I think, a pretty good job of explaining why it's going to be that much, but the thing that made me feel, I guess, warm and fuzzy was that it is a bid process. So when it goes out to the different contractors, well, I guess we'll see if that's what it costs these days to build a 5,000 square foot.
Well, you have to take into consideration.
Because I was like you, I said, that seems.
It wasn't part of the original budget, that's why I was wondering.
Yes, it was.
Yeah.
The building was always included in the budget. This was not an addition to the
Yes.
budget.
The pole barn is an addition.
No, it's not. No.
It's a substitution, it sounds like.
It's a downsize, actually. The budget, the building was always in there. It was in the meets and bounds. So it's an addition to the original meets and bounds, but the addition came when we got into prior to bidding. So remember, the original meets and bounds was created prior to me. And once we got deeper into the project, we realized that we're losing a fair amount of storage space. So coupled with loss of storage space, more equipment coming in, and trying to build for the future, we're out of space, and we're currently out of space. So where I came up with those numbers is, bear in mind, there's contingency built in there, there's engineering built in there, and I also got two budget prices from two different contractors. So it isn't a number I just made up.
I'm not saying.
No. So that's, yeah, no, I get it, but it
This
is.
is the first time I'm hearing about it.
Yep. So it
We should have told you, we didn't want you to have a heart attack.
it was always in the,
Because I almost did.
it was always in the working budget of the 12 million,
The building itself
absolutely.
and the same square footage.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. This was a less expensive way to go.
So instead of putting the addition on the building, you're considering the whole barn.
Exactly, we can build it for less money. We don't have to go to a brick and mortar, we don't have to steel beams, anything off the back of our existing structure. So,
But
also-
tonight, we're just doing the amended seeker. I mean, I don't think the next step would be bids and all that.
Sure.
You don't have a bid yet for it?
No, I cannot go to bid until seeker is been approved. So that won't come until a little while down the road. This building will also give us the opportunity to actually do some work inside. If we, there's been talk of E1s, if we have to work on those, we'll have workspace. We can do a lot more inside. We really can't do right now. So,
We'll be doing site work.
What's that, John?
We'll be doing the site work. I have a road.
right.
Well, it's gonna be a busy couple months in the sewer world, isn't it? Art?
That'll be a busy year. So we
They
all
call
of
it,
us.
what they call it, a crack shoot?
It's crash. Won't be a crash shoot. We'll back it.
We already built the crap sheet.
Everybody's a comedian here tonight, aren't they? Well, does anybody want to make this resolution?
I will make it as, this is all I have, is what's in front of me. This is adequate to read.
Yeah.
Okay. I would move that we authorize notice of a secret amendment to involve interested parties to include the proposed pole barn under phase 1 of the wastewater treatment plant project, and to send the revised part 1 of the full environmental assessment form to the involved/interested agencies for review and comment for a period of 10 days.
Second.
Councilwoman Tomey? Aye. Councilman Cahill?
Aye.
Councilman Abbott?
Aye.
Supervisor?
Aye. And, we're still, I think, gonna get out of here relatively early, but I just wanna add something on that, it looks as though the first phase of the, sewer treatment plant improvements that were budgeted at, I think, $12 million are gonna come in under budget,
That's
which
great.
is great. Yeah, it
Nice
really
job,
is.
Art.
And so that's the good news. I don't want to say it's the bad news, but when I said it's going to be a busy time in the sewer world in the next, at least in Webster, the next couple of months, is that where you're going online most likely in May with the new clarifiers.
With two of the three.
Two of the three. The attention to turn to phase 2 really, there's a lot of variables of both cost and financing, and obviously we've got 12 million, 3 million in grant, 9 million in financing tied up in phase 1. So Art and I have talked about this. I mean, you can't just roll into phase 2. There's a lot of considerations financially on that. But I think the biggest consideration that is going to come into play in this in the next month or two is whether 35 square miles of Webster, that includes the village, moves forward with a regional consolidated plant, or whether the village maintains their own sewage treatment plant, and the town will then have to move forward with their own plant. And how that affects phase 2 for the town is very different from their own plant from regional. And Patty and I have been in discussions for the last 3 weeks, I think, Patty, with Mayor Byers and Deputy Mayor Gary Polito. And we've expanded the 4 of us to now include the engineers, and we will continue to expand the amount of people involved in this. Our goal has been, and will continue to be, to put the leadership of the village in a position where they can make an educated vote in the next couple of months on whether they want to keep their own treatment plant or whether they want to pursue regionalization. I will say this, and maybe I'll get used to this coming from private to government. One of the biggest frustrations to me in this process is that we don't have we really, as the town, don't have a say in that. It will be the village's decision. The town board, as we sit right here with Mr. Dean, in a couple months, when we sit down and start to noodle phase 2 of regionalization versus phase 2 of going with the town sewer treatment plant on its own, that decision is made by the village's vote on whether they want to keep their own sewage treatment. And that's really all. I just wanted to make sure that that was clarified. And we will continue on, right, Betty? And just want to get the facts and the figures, because decision-making based on facts and figures is always better decision-making than on conjecture and those things. So we're making progress. Well, that concludes what I think is the, what did I say? Are you now at 1,372 things that you've taught me? I do want to announce, I can't believe I didn't say this earlier, that Kim Doyle has joined the supervisor's office as of Monday, February 3rd, in the admin exec position. I don't know who's happier, me as the supervisor or everybody else that has to deal with me in town government, because if me acting as my admin executive assistant the first month on the job, I would fire me. And Kim is, she's worked at Parks and Rec for the better part of 15 years. Glowing recommendations of her organizational skills. I think, Joe, she was on the safety committee with you. In the first 4 days, I gotta tell you, I am just thrilled. I think she's gonna be unbelievable. I really do. So, with that being said, Bill or John or Patty? Barbara?
Oh, I only have one thing to talk about right now. County taxes. Monday is the due date for the first installment or the full payment without interest. Please remember that we do close at 4:30. We do have the drop box in our vestibule, but it is checked at 4:30. And if you want to drop your payment in the mail, you need to go to the post office and have a U.S. postmark on it. The best one to go to, and I always promote it, is the one in the corner of Bainbridge. They're open after 5 p.m. in the mobile gas station, and they will hand cancel your payment for you, your envelope, and you do look at the U.S. postmark. If you want to go online and pay it, you will pay a 3% fee. So I always recommend just coming in with your payment and we'll help you. If you don't have your bill, you can always go online to www.monroecounty.gov and click on View Pay Taxes, or just call us and we will give you.
Thank you. Well, that concludes tonight's board meeting. There will be, we'll wait 5 minutes after it concludes for any call-ins from the people watching at home. You can call in to 8727011.
Actually, one thing to add, we have snow coming tonight, and it has been the last couple snows problematic with the cars parking on the street. We had several removed this morning, and I contacted the chief and the lieutenants and the sergeants, and they're gonna start cracking down on the people plowing the snow back in the roads and snow blowing, because
We
it's
do
out
have
of
an
control.
ordinance.
It's ridiculous.
Yes, we do.
You could pay us to clear the roads, and then your private contractors are pushing all right back in as we've gone by. So, I just talked to the chief about an hour ago, and they're all on board. And tomorrow will be a test run. See how it goes, see if we can crack down on it a little bit. Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks, both of you coming.
Are you towing the cars every road?
They're on our way. Yeah, actually, at 4 o'clock in the morning, cops are nice enough to knock on the doors and wake them up to get them to move them. And if they're unsuccessful, then we help them
Okay.
at the owner's expense.
Right.
They don't belong in the road.
I'm just asking.
That's pretty nice for our police too.
Yeah.
To do that, because I'd much rather be.
Yeah, woken up and move it
woken up
than
before
not find it there in the morning.
and it's not there, yeah,
Hopefully, make it work, and it costs you $150 for the tow.
right.
Yeah. Thank you.
You know what's happening, no one's gonna call in, because I don't want that guy yelling at me.
It's Frederick,
Frederick.
so you can call him back.
They're all right.
Okay.
And I know, first name is Frederick.
The section is Jim's.
Yes. They sound exactly alike when they talk on the phone.
Really?
Yes,
Huh.
They look real close.
yes,
Really?
yes.
I don't know, can I add this if you've, yeah? Can I add something? We're still on, right?
I think so.
So I would like to congratulate Officer Tessa Freight, who is being honored tonight by the Elks Club as, I believe, Officer of the Year. She's receiving a recognition for her service with the Webster Police Department. When I read the detail of her actions that caused her to be recognized for this special award, I have to say that I just had chills and tears. She actually, she talked someone down from a very precarious position who was looking to end his life. And she responded and actually saved his life. And I think she deserves to be recognized, and certainly we're very fortunate to have officers like Officer Freight on our police department. Just want to give her a shout out.
Thank you. And I would assume, even though the gavel went down, that we're still on TV because we're waiting for any call-ins. So I hope everybody heard that.
I hope so too. I'm sorry that I didn't get to it before.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's, I really don't think people will call. Maybe next meeting we'll say that you can call in to Patty. She won't yell at you.
I'm sure you.
I would say you can call in the bill, but no, you know.
I don't have the phone by me.
Oh, we can get it moved over there, Bill. Oh. You can't wait for tomorrow for me to sign stuff?
No, because someone's gonna be looking for it, right, Art?
Oh, my.
So should we give Karen permission to?
I think that if someone was gonna call in, I think they would.
Good night, everyone.
Thank you. All right.
Art, do you know how many people need a copy of that?
I'm sending out the two.
So you need,
I've got the letters already. Am I sending them or do you want to send them?
so